So after I measure from my CZ mark to my T3, this would be my C3 mark right here. And on the other side, I now have my C4 mark. And that is the second chain. Now I'm going to do the third chain, which is the circumference of the head. And I cross this in line with that. And then I measure around the entire head, making sure I go through O1 to the front. Oh, okay. And that's gonna give me 54. So I take 10% of that, which is 5.4, and then I take half of that, which is 2.75. And I measure from my FPZ to my 2.75 mark, which is gonna be right here. 2.75, and that gives me my FP1, and I'm gonna do it on the other side. And that gives me my FP2 mark. And there we go. And then I'm going to cross these in line with the other one. All right, and then beginning on FP1, I'm going to go around the head, making the measurements using the 10% number, which is 5.4 centimeters. So 5.4 centimeters is going to be right there. And that's my F7 mark. And then from there, I mark the 5.4 again, which is gonna be right there. I continue going. That crossed my T3. And there's my my T5. And then from here, I measure the 5.4 centimeters again. It's gonna be right here. So that was that side of the head. Oh, and this is O1. So then I come to my FP2 and I do the same thing. 5.4 centimeters going around the head. And this is my F8. And then I continue doing 5.4, trying to line it up as well as I can. That just crossed my T4. And this right here is my T6. And then I do one more time to give me my O2, which is gonna be right there. So I'm gonna cross those according to my OZ measurement right there. And then next, that completes this third chain, and now I'm going to start at FP1 and go all the way back to my O1. And this is called the double banana or longitudinal chain. I'm getting 24, so I'm going to take half of that 24 and mark 12, which crosses my C3 right here. Then I'm gonna take half of that 12.5. Wait, what did I get? That's wrong. I got 24 exactly. So I should have crossed it at half of the 24, which is 12, not 12.5. So I'm gonna move that mark over to right here. Let me grab something. Take that off. I don't confuse myself. Okay, cool. So, like I said, I just crossed my C3. So I'm gonna measure from my FP1 to my C3 and take half of that 12 and mark it 6, which is gonna be right there. Oh, actually. And then I'm gonna go for my, oh, and that mark right there is my F3. And then I'm gonna measure from C3 to O1 and again take half of that 12, which will be 6. And this is my P3. And now I've done that side, so now I'm gonna start at FP2 and do the same exact thing. Sometimes this side of the head on the glass head is bigger, so it should be a slightly larger measurement. It's about 25, so that's gonna be 12.5. So we're gonna take half of that, and that's the 12.5. And then that crosses my T4, no, C4, yes. Then I take half of this half of the 12.5, and that's 6.25. And I mark that right. And that gives me my F4. Move from the C4 to the O2 and measure my 12.5. And then I take the 6.25 and I mark right here. And that makes your P4 right there. So now to cross that chain that those two chains that I did on either side, I'm going to start at this one and I'm going to line it up with this and cross it to give me a point to go from. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. That's crossing F8 and F7 right here. So I'm going to start here. And I'm gonna go all the way around. It's 22. So take half of that. So I'm gonna cross at 11, which happens to be right on the seam of the head. I'm gonna do it again. 11 centimeters. Cut that 11 in half. That's 5.5. 5.5. That's right there. Excellent. And then that just crossed my F3. And then I measure from the FC back to F8. And it's 11, 5.5, it's gonna be right there. All right, so that completed the front half. So now I just have to do the same thing on the back, making sure I'm crossing my T5 and my T6. Okay, so I'm gonna cross over. I'm gonna go. And I'm getting 24. Yeah, 24. So I cross PZ at 12. Should be right here. And that crosses my PZ. So then I measure from here to here. It's 12, so that's perfect. Half of 12 is 6, so I cross this right here, and that crosses my P4. And then I'm going to come over here and cross my P3 by placing the measuring tape here. It's 12, so half of that is 6. So it goes right here. Alright, so that completes the measurements for the head, and now I will begin applying the electrodes. To apply the electrodes, you need gauze, some tape pieces, and then the new prep and your paste. And you need these, some Q-tips for scrubbing the head and prepping it for the electrodes. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to do the entire head because if I do, the paste will not stick to the head. So I'm just going to show what you would do on a normal head. So I'm going to, at each of the points on a real head, you would scrub for 15 seconds in one direction. And then after that, this would prevent your impedance from getting too high, but if you scrub too much, your impedance would be too low. So that's what you would do for that if this was